Good afternoon and greetings from the workshops. Apologies for the froggy voice. I've got a bit of a cold. That's what glamping in Oberon will do for you. Trust me to get away from work. And here I am suffering the consequences. Anyway, back to work on the 2005 BMW R1150RTP. And as you know, we had a problem with wiring. I'm wearing my flip-flops today because it's nice and warm. Specifically, the problem with wiring was that guy right there had been chopped off. And in order, as I mentioned in the last video, to locate and correctly reinstate everything, the back of the bike had to come off. So disappointing, but gives us a chance to clean, so that's always good. The good news is as well that in pulling the fuse box apart, essentially it's two parts. There's a top bit that you see here, that's this. Fuses and relays sit there, and there's a bottom bit that's incorporated into the mudguard. Basically looks like that. So that's the bottom of the fuses with the little notch just there where the main fuses run through with a grommet to protect them from rubbing against this plastic. So all good. This came off no problem. Got the rest of the box out. Thankfully, the wires had been chopped with enough left on the end here so that we can splice them back in. So they were covered with this. So that sheath goes around the outside. Obviously we'll reinstate the sheath, but also that's all of the wires. So if you compare, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but if you can compare the color of those wires in there, brown, red, green, etc., they're all there. So thankfully, also when I line this piece of wiring up here, it's supposed to sit like that. We've got enough to do this properly, so to connect it there, get everything set up properly and run it up to the back of the bike. So it's really good news. Obviously there's a bit of work to go here, so we're going to crack on, get this done, but that's excellent news. And once we've got it all back together, we'll test it. Obviously we're not just going to reinstall everything and hope that it works, so this will all get tested for continuity and safety, get heat shrunk around each connection on there. And it will give us a chance, if we need to also reinstate these two, because they're just daisy chained off the side of the wiring harness that runs up here for constant power. So no dramas with that. So thankfully it looks like whoever did it, despite being a giant pain in the backside, if you're watching this, whoever decommissioned this for New South Wales Police Fleet, you don't need to do this. There's only me restoring these things. So your odds of having to sabotage the secondary harness for the sirens to this extent so it doesn't work is completely unnecessary. You're just billing time to New South Wales Police Fleet that you don't need to do. You can quite easily disable this a number of other ways, which we all know about, inside the fuse box, which requires no permanent modification at all. And leaving this, by the way, untaped, there was no tape around this at all. This has just been cut with a pair of shears inside the sheath. So essentially you have bare wires sitting inside this. Not great practice at all. So there are much better ways to do this. Anyway, better crack on. We'll get busy reinstating all of this, and as I say, test it, and then once we know it works, we'll follow up with another video showing you all back together, hopefully a little bit cleaner here, and with all the stuff working this time, including the sirens. So until that video, I'll see you then. Cheers everyone.